Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I've got a fun video for you guys today. We're going to be testing out a new eyeshadow palette. This palette has been on my wish list for about 6 to 8 months, I think, but I've held off on getting it because the price tag is quite high. I actually ordered this palette along with the makeup I got from Sephora in that Sephora try-on that I did about a week ago. This one came in a little late though, so I didn't have it for that video, but I have had it for about 5 days now. I have been playing with it and I'm pretty impressed with it, you guys. I'm talking about the Patrick Ta palette. Now this thing is pricey, painfully pricey, and it is also a neutral palette, but there are some really special things about this that have kind of won me over in spite of myself. So we're going to test it out today. I'm going to share with you guys some swatches. We'll talk about why I think it's special, and we'll go over my thoughts and feelings on it so far. So hope you guys are excited about it. We're going to create a beautiful look today. That is my hope. But before we take a look at the palette, special welcome to any of you that are new here. Very happy to have you. I hope you enjoy this video today. If you do, make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure your notification bell is turned on if you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new video. And now let's get to it. All right, let's jump right in. I obviously have the rest of my makeup on. Everything except for eyeshadow and lips is done. I will link everything that I'm wearing down below in case you're curious. But let's take a look at this very pretty palette. Here it is. Right here, already has fingerprints on it. Honestly, I wiped this off 10 seconds ago. That's definitely one of the things about this type of packaging, which honestly, some of the prettiest packaging in my collection pretty much all has this very reflective packaging that just gets so dirty, but I still think it's beautiful. So here is a look inside. Again, you guys, this is one I've had on my wish list, mostly because I just am very interested in Patrick Ta. I've only tried a handful of things out from the Patrick Ta brand, but I've been very impressed with them. I think their formulas and kind of concepts are very unique, and that's why this one caught my attention more than the color story, which is quite neutral, as you can obviously see, but just this idea that there's some cream shadows in here. I was also very curious after looking at this palette online and then seeing the swatches. The swatches look different than what the shades inside the palette looked like, to the point that initially I thought maybe there's two different color stories of this palette because I didn't feel like the swatches lined up with the way the colors looked in pictures online. I kind of understand better now why that was, because some of these, there's some very interesting textures in here. That's what surprised me the most as I've been using that this week. So I'll insert for you guys right here a close-up of the packaging, a closer look at the shadows inside and how they look swatched on my arm. I'm not sure the swatches on the arm are going to do this palette quite the justice that I think it deserves, but I am very impressed with the different textures in here. Now I will say, as someone that has always been an eyeshadow fan, an eyeshadow palette lover, the more eyeshadows and formulas I have tried out, the more I have come to appreciate different formulas. Now there's subtle differences which may or may not be worth the price, which again, I'm not even saying that this palette is worth the price. I'm still kind of annoyed by the $68 price tag. I think that is so high, but I do appreciate the unique formulas in here that are not something that you can usually find done this well, at least at the drugstore. You can find a lot of companies that try that maybe come close to these, which again is where this debate gets a little bit tricky. What's worth the cost, what is not, what justifies that massive price gap between like a ColourPop $14 or $18 eyeshadow palette and this one at $68. There it gets a little bit murky, but I was pretty pleasantly surprised with some of the formulas inside here. So let's start off with these two right here. So these two are creams. I mean, they remind me of like cream bronzers. They're truly creams. They're very dark, but they go on beautifully and they are completely budge proof. And to prove it to you guys, I'm actually going to show you. So about 2 hours ago, I filmed the swatches for this video. I tried, let me take my bracelet off here, to wipe those swatches off the back of my arm. And you guys see this one here and this right here? I actually used makeup remover and a cotton pad. I really scrubbed at these. They did not want to come off. Those are the two creams inside this palette, which was impressive to me. I've been impressed with these using them on my eyes throughout the week, but trying to wipe these off my arm, I'm even more impressed now. I think that says a lot for their longevity, which I have definitely noticed. Like my eye looks at the end of the day are just as vibrant and bold and intense and rich as they were at the beginning of the day. We are going to do a look with this palette today, but I just want to go over a couple of the other unique formulas inside here, maybe talk you guys through just how many different formula types there are in here. So this shade right here is a traditional, just metallic formula. This is the kind of shade or formula that you would probably see in a lot of different palettes out there. It's really nice, very well done, very beautiful shade, but it's not special in any way, I would say. And then we go over to this shade next to it. This one is very interesting. It's very sparkly, it's very reflective and glittery. It's even a little bit flaky, but in a good way. Pretty color. It's kind of a peachy bronze, which I think is really pretty on the eyes. Then the shade next to that one, this actually reminds me of the sequin formula in Tati's palettes. It's a mostly matte formula that has a reflect throughout, and there's a couple of these inside this palette. Actually, I think there's just two. Yes, this one here and then this cream down in the corner, but this cream has a lot more sparkle even than this one right here. Sparkle in here actually does show up quite a bit. I'm kind of swatching out of order now, but then these two right here, these are similar to this one, but I would say these ones are even a little bit more sparkly. They are so pretty on the eyes, and these shades look different in the pan than they do on your eyes. This looks like more of a mid-tone, but on your eyes it's very, very light, very reflective. It's like a peachy champagne. Here it is right there. Let me turn my lights down just a little bit. Hopefully these will show up just a little bit better. I know this is not going to do it justice, but you guys, this is beautiful. So much pretty sparkly reflect in here. I absolutely love it. And then this one in the corner, kind of a white gold, I would say. This one also has a lot of sparkle in it. It is beautiful on the eyes. It's a mix between like a flaky formula, a cream formula, a glitter topper. It's just very, very textured, but in a very good, beautiful way. Usually when I think of texture on the eyelids, I think that's a bad thing, but that's not always the case, and it's not the case with these. They look gorgeous on your eyes. They're very sheer. They don't emphasize texture. They're pretty easy to apply. I do think they apply best with your finger. Then you have these four right here, just traditional mattes, but really nice formula. They are extremely rich, very pigmented, super easy to blend. And let me just live swatch these creams for you guys. These are really fun to work with. When I first opened up this palette, or even before that, when I found out that those were creams, I kind of wondered, what's the purpose of those? Like, would you really need those in a palette? Which you could probably still answer no, but they're really fun to work with. They add a level of intensity and richness that is a little different than a powder, and they can be topped with a powder just to amp things up even more, and I love that. You guys know how much I love rich shades in my outer corner. We'll definitely be using these today in addition to some of those mattes. They're stunning. They last all day long, and if you want to just use these alone, they just add a little bit of a different kind of look in your outer corner because they're a different texture and formula that I'm used to working with. So those are some of my thoughts on these shades so far. Obviously we'll give them a try on here in a sec, but I wanted to mention one more kind of interesting side note. I had ordered this palette, and then the day after ordering this palette, I had seen Tati mention this. I might have been in her 15 palettes video, perhaps not, but she said she thought this palette was not worth the price. She kind of like talked about it like, it wasn't anything special, and I thought, great. I just spent $68 on that palette. It's gonna arrive here any day. I was already a little reluctant because of its high price tag and its very neutral color scheme, but I've been very impressed with it so far, you guys. I think it creates some really beautiful looks. So let's see if we can recreate one of those today, and I will share just a couple final thoughts with you guys at the end. So let me zoom you guys in and we will get started with our look. Okay, you guys, we're gonna kick things off with this shade right here. This is the lightest transition shade inside the palette. I just kind of hesitate to use the word transition shade because I feel like a transition shade is different for everyone depending on what your skin tone is, but I just don't know else how to say it. I should say light tan. I always love the chance to say light tan. If you've seen Nacho Libre, you'll understand the inside joke there. It's a beautiful shade though. Perfect transition shade for me, at least. It definitely can be built up to add some depth if you have a little bit deeper skin tone than me. This matte formula reminds me a little bit of the ABH formula. It is a little bit powdery. You have to be go in very lightly with your brush. Maybe not quite as powdery as ABH's formula, but it just blends so well. Very nice and pigmented. Okay, we've got down the first shade. Let's jump to that next one right next door. We're going to take that one that's just a little bit darker, only on the very tip of that same brush. By the way, I'm using the reference number 16. And just place this one a little bit more precisely right through the socket. There's probably a lot of you out there that have already tried this palette because I know it's been out for a while. So let me know if you guys agree with me on some of my thoughts about the different textures, or if the fact that this was so darn expensive made it impossible for you to love it either way. I would understand that. I'm just taking, just with what's left on that brush, I'm closing my eye and kind of running it simultaneously along my upper lash line and lower lash line, kind of going over my eyelashes. In fact, let's build that up just a little bit down below. I'm going to take that same shade, the second shade there in the middle, camely brown, using the reference number 2. We're going to run that lower lash line just about halfway in. All right, now we're going to jump over to the creams here in the corner. So for these, I like using a brush that's a little bit dense. So you could use this one. I've used this one a couple of times. It's the Rephr number 2, the one I just used on my lower lash line. Another one I love using with these is also from Rephr, the number 12 brush. It's kind of a dome-shaped, very dense, very stiff brush. It works perfectly with creams. Another one I think would work really well is this one right here from Alter Ego. It's just kind of the C-shaped eyeshadow brush. This is a pretty common shape. I know e.l.f. makes some brushes like this. Something along the lines of this. It's very nice and dense is going to be best with this formula. I'm going to use the Rephr number 12. We're going to dip into the lighter of the two and just add a little bit to the dome of that brush and start tapping it on kind of the way I would a dark powder shadow. And take that and kind of pull in along that crease. These blend so well. They're really nice and creamy. They blend really well, but they set down. I mean, look at the back of my hand. I wiped these off, but I still have the stains on the back of my hand showing how budge proof these are. Applying these reminds me of applying cream bronzer, actually. You take what's left on that brush and just run it very lightly under the outermost part of my lower lash line. Okay, we're going to add just a little bit more because why not? Let's take this darker cream shade. I want to try and use as many different shades and textures in here as I can. I'm just taking a tiny bit of this on the very tip of that brush, and same thing but just right along the lash line. I'm kind of smudging this. Where's like a liner? Let's add a powder on top. I'm going to take this one right here, this red toned brown. This is such a beautiful shade. It is still quite dark. It actually goes on even darker than it looks in the pan. But it has that subtle warm red undertone to it that I love so much. I'm just going to basically put this on top of those creams. Sometimes I won't do this step. I'll just add a shimmer to the lid and be done. This is just going to add a little bit extra super intensity. And by the way, for this I'm using the Rephr number 14 brush. Okay, look how rich that outer corner is. That's absolutely stunning. Let's add a little bit of shimmer just to the outer part of the lid. We're going to take this darker shimmery brown right here, just on the tip of my finger. I'm going to tap that over the outer. Now let's take a little bit of this shade right here. We're going to put this right across the center of the lid, so just in even a little bit further than that shade we just put down. These do apply best with your finger. I've tried them with a flat brush. They work okay, but they're just one of those shades I feel like you really need the warmth of your finger to get the most out of these. Then we're going to take this kind of peachy champagne here. This one is a little less flaky, a little bit more sheer, but very, very sparkly. It's one of my favorite shades in here, actually. Look how bright and reflective that goes on. So stunning. Don't tell Huda I said this, but these formulas remind me of what I imagine Huda Beauty was trying to do with some of the formulas I felt like missed the mark in her her Haze Obsessions palettes that I had trouble with. They kind of remind me a little bit of this formula, but I feel like these are just done a little bit better. Okay, very last, look at that, you guys. Is that not just so sparkly, so stunning? I think it's so pretty. We're going to take this shade right here now and just add a little bit to my inner tear duct. I'm going to take the Rephr number 3 brush. This one is quite flaky. And just press it right in this tear duct area. Okay, there we have it so far. So that is probably where I would leave it, but I do want to add just a little bit more right to my outer lash line here, just so I can use this shade right here, the dark matte brown. Let's do that on an angled brush. I'm going to take this one right here. This one is from Nabla, just a flat angled brush. We're going to dip it into the dark brown, tap it off a little, and use this as liner. Just right at the lash line on the top. Okay, last I'm going to add just a couple coats of mascara, then I will come back, we will finish off the lips, then we'll take a close-up view of the eye look and I will share with you guys my final thoughts. And here is the finished eye look with mascara. I will insert a close-up for you guys right here so you can see a closer look. I'm hoping that maybe you'll be able to see some of the sparkle, some of the texture a little bit better. I know my lights are a little bright. I did try turning them down just a bit, but I love this eye look. I love this palette. It is super simple in its color story, but the textures are really, really special. I do want to finish off with the lips really quickly. I'm just going to take a little bit of this right here. This is the Milani Color Statement Liner in the shade 09 Spice. I don't use this lip liner nearly as much as the other two shades, 03 and 04. It's a little bit darker, a little bit warmer, but I thought it'd go good with this look today. Now I'm going to add a little bit of lipstick. I pulled out this one that I have forgotten about. I actually got this nearly a year ago. I used it for about a month and I forgot about it. It is from MAC. It's the shade Yash. Just a really nice warm kind of nude pink, I would say. It's like it's a really nice warm nude pink. It's a really pretty warm color. I'm very picky with my lipsticks when they lean a little bit warm, but that one is just right. Got a little bit of lip gloss on top of it. I'm going to take this. This is the Megalast Liquid Catsuit Lips Gloss Stick. I can't remember exactly what these are. Are they glosses? Are they lipsticks? This is the shade Caught You Bare Naked, which is a shade that is basically like a concealer, but I like adding just a tiny bit of this to the center of my lips. You can do the same thing with any number of lipsticks that are nice and light. And that, you guys, is going to do it for this completed makeup look. Hope you guys enjoyed watching me try out this palette. I've had so much fun with this last week. I have a question for you guys, actually. Can you tell on camera that there's something unique about some of the formulas that I applied today, or does it just look like any other palette, maybe from ColourPop, or some of my other favorite affordable palettes? Do those differences come across on camera? I don't think that they always do, because I think they're pretty subtle, which kind of brings us back to the question, is this palette really worth $68? I don't think I can even answer yes to that question. There are so many good palettes out there that are almost 100 times cheaper than this one. I'm thinking specifically of like these little guys right here, $2.99, $3.99 a piece. Now some might say that comparison is like apples to oranges, but it's really all about kind of what you value, what your budget is. And even for me as a makeup lover, as someone that does YouTube, but also someone that does value an affordable price tag that's very budget conscious, this is a tough question for me to answer. All I know is I have been surprisingly impressed with this palette, and I would love to know from those of you that have tried this one out, what did you guys think? What do you guys think of its price tag? What do you think of the formulas or textures inside here? And are there things in your collection that you think compare to this for maybe a fraction of the price? That would be helpful information, so if you have that, leave it down below. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I always love playing with a new palette on camera for you guys, and I hope that you guys had fun as well. Thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I hope you guys are doing well. One more reminder, if you haven't yet subscribed, please be sure to hit that red button down below, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye. I don't know why I always buy shirts like this, because the sleeves are never long enough on me. I must have been going through a phase over the last 6 months or so. I think I've accumulated 3 or 4 of these kind of... They kind of remind me as I look down at my puffy, flowy sleeves throughout the day. If you've seen that Seinfeld episode where Jerry has the pirate shirt on, that's not actually a bad thing. Love me some Seinfeld.